So welcome to our webinar this evening. We will be talking about Mathology and the brand new Ontario curriculum. And I just want to pause to say a quick thank you. I know these are long days for educators, and the fact that you have joined us after school, after which likely has been a long day for you, we really, really appreciate that. So again, if you have any questions, if you could put your questions in chat to know that I will take those questions up at the end of our presentation. So I'm going to begin. So I typically like to begin at the very beginning in case Mathology is new to you. So Mathology is a set of K-8 print and digital math resources that engage students while also building math confidence and a growth mindset. It's been carefully researched and co-developed by math educators all across Canada. So on the left-hand side, you'll see professional learning. That was the very start of Mathology, probably about 4 or 5 years ago, when we started thinking about creating something new for the math classrooms in Canada. And we knew that supporting teachers in math is a really good place to start. And so some of those professional learning titles may look familiar to you, from Taking Shape to What to Look For, as well as elementary and middle school mathematics and teaching math with meaning. Those professional learning resources really helped inform the development of Mathology right at the very beginning. The other piece that we started with is our Pearson Canada Learning Progression. It's our developmental continuum of math understanding, and that acts as the underpinning, the foundation of Mathology. When you can understand where your students are and know where your next steps are, it's really powerful, and we built our classroom resources on top of that learning progression. We'll show you a little bit more about that tonight. On the far right-hand side, we started next with creating some student and or print resources for the classroom. You may have heard of our grades 1 through 3 activity kits. Over 100 engaging games and activities per grade, and they're designed to support student understanding in math, and also they are a lot of fun while doing math. And we'll see a little bit more from those as we go. Bottom right-hand corner, you'll see we have our math little books. We have 72 K-3 fiction and nonfiction math little books. Each one of them has a teacher's guide that goes with it, and they're really designed to support engagement with students. The stories built on math are really engaging, and they really do help develop early math skills and math vocabulary. Bottom middle, we added something brand new this summer. We call them the Mathology Math Mats for grades 3 through 4. And these are 44 laminated, write-on, wipe-off math mats bound in a booklet for each student. And it's a great way of having students show what they know and engage in risk-taking in math and making mistakes like we all do, and being able to erase it very quickly and work through math problems. So those math mats are brand new this year as well. And the bottom left-hand corner, we have our brand new grades 4 through 6 readiness tasks. So these are 15 to 20 tasks per grade that provides a snapshot of students' understanding of specific math concepts, which is really important, especially in this year where we've had what seemed like a 6-month March break. Understanding what your students know and how to support them is really important. So I'll tell you a little bit more about the readiness task this evening as well. So this summer, when the new Ontario curriculum came down out of the sky, we got it at the same time as you did, and we really had to think about Mathology and understand the brand new curriculum and where it lines up with Mathology. So Mathology, the important piece here is that it's curriculum aligned and it's focused on the big ideas. So what you're seeing here on the right-hand side is that math learning progression. And since Mathology was built on top of that, it really helps us line up very closely with this new Ontario math curriculum and understand where there might be any gaps, any of the new concepts that have been brought in with this new curriculum. And just know that we're committed to 100% curriculum alignment and coverage, and we'll talk a bit more about what that looks like this evening as well. What most teachers have said to us the last 2 months is how can Mathology align with the new curriculum? That learning progression, honestly, was the best start for us. We were able to see where Mathology lined up and build on top of that. And the piece that we're going to spend more time on tonight is Mathology.ca. It's our living online hub for Mathology, and having a digital piece is really important, enabling us to update and adapt content very quickly. So this is our learning progression. You'll see on the right, this is an example of the number strand. We're looking at a big idea and how that big idea unfolds across, first of all, K to 3. We have a K to 3 one, and we now have a grades 4 through 9 one. And so this one's looking at how the number strand and the big idea unfolds across that continuum for grades 4 to 6. It maps on really nicely. If you had a chance to go onto the ministry website and take a look at the strand overviews, they look very similar and map on quite nicely. And so that alone gave us a chance to see where those gaps might be and know how quickly we can fill them. And how do we do that? Well, Mathology.ca, I call it the living online hub because it's digital, it grows over time. And so currently Mathology.ca contains over 300 carefully curated K-6 lessons and readiness tasks that are updated and added to and improved regularly. That's the great thing about a digital platform. They're curriculum focused, designed to support differentiation, and you'll see what that looks like tonight. Engaging, so the math stories, the games that are inside are really engaging and help support the idea that students should love math as much as we do, and the engagement part's really important. Perfect for at-home and online use as well, and we'll show you what that looks like tonight. And also supported by short in-the-moment professional learning videos. So we know that it's become really challenging, even more so during COVID. It has been challenging for the last couple of years for teachers to gather in professional learning opportunities like we used to have. It's just hard to meet now. And so where does that professional learning come from? Well, we've actually embedded it in Mathology.ca. So teachers have some really great short 1 to 2 minute videos that support math concepts. And I'll show you one this evening. So I think now is the perfect time to take a look at Mathology.ca. So I'm going to escape my presentation for a moment and get into Mathology.ca. So just give me a second here. Okay. And you should be seeing Mathology.ca. I'm just going to, for a quick second here, get into participants and Haley. So Haley, I've got you there, and I've unmuted you. So I just want to let you know that we have on the line tonight one of my colleagues, Haley Gillis, and she will be able to monitor chat tonight. So again, if you have any questions as we go, put your questions in chat. You'll find chat at the very bottom of your screen. And if you click on it, you'll see a blue band that says panelists and attendees. If you can click on that, no, you'll see a blue bar that says panelists. Click on that and it will drop down and say all panelists and attendees. If you click on that, that gives Haley and everyone a glimpse into your questions so she can answer them as we go. And if there's anything that Haley can't answer throughout this evening, we will open up the floor this evening to chat at the end, and we can work through any questions you might have. So welcome everyone. And for those who just joined, I'm Patty Henderson. I'm the Math Marketing Manager tonight. So this is our home screen for Mathology.ca. When we first thought about creating a resource to support math, we heard that a lot of teachers were looking for really great lessons, math lessons that maybe support online learning. They might support engagement in math. And when you go online, it's often hard to find a great math lesson at the right level for your students. And so Mathology.ca, first of all, is a really great search engine for curriculum-focused lessons. So I'm going to share with you tonight a couple of ways of getting into Mathology.ca and finding exactly what you need. And I'm going to start with search. And you'll see the search button right here at the bottom, in the middle, sorry. I'm going to hit show all lessons just so you can get I'm going to have to sign in again, just so you can get a sense of how many curriculum-aligned lessons are inside Mathology.ca. I mentioned earlier tonight that we have K all the way through grade 6. This will tell you in a quick moment that we have 587 lessons in there. So right off the bat, you're thinking, well, this seems a lot like Google. How do I find exactly what I want? We have some really great filters across the top that help you narrow down your search. Most people would start at grade. So if I go into grade and say I click on grade 3, our search result went down to 125, so we're getting there. You can also narrow that search down by the strand that you might be looking for. So let's go into a number for now. The type of lessons. So we have activities in here. We have readiness tasks for grades 4, 5, and 6. We have little books in here as well as a variety of other types of lessons. So you can really narrow your search down there. And we'll go into little book for now. And you can see we have 10 results. So as I scroll down, you'll see we have math little books. So we went from 587 down to 10 math little books exactly for grade 3 number strand. So that search is a really great way of finding exactly what you need. You can also search for a keyword. So it could be skip counting and go into search. And what it will do, it will bring up all the lessons that support skip counting, whether it's a math little book or an activity. And you get, again, you can see we have 237 results for skip counting. So again, you'd probably want to go into your grade, and that narrows it down to 35. Number, type, let's try activity this time, 13. So again, that's a great way of finding what you're looking for. And I'll show you near the end tonight how to do another type of search that's great. But the next piece I'm going to share with you, because Ontario is in the middle of a brand new curriculum, you may want to start with searching by curriculum. So right underneath that search bar where I just was, I'm going to go into search by curriculum. And what you're going to see here, I'm going to get grade 3 up, is your brand new curriculum across the top. These are the strands. So we'll have social emotional learning, number, algebra. When I go into algebra, you'll see mathematical modeling, which is new, the coding, which is new as well, data, spatial sense, and of course there's brand new financial literacy as well. So those strands are across the top. When you click on one, you'll get your overall expectations from the curriculum. So I'm in grade 3 and financial literacy. So let's see how many lessons are within this specific expectation. And we have one from the curriculum. So I'm going to click on that. When you see a little green magnifying glass, this tells you that there's a lesson behind here. So I'm going to click on that. And you'll see 7 results for this, for financial literacy and this expectation for grade 3. So we have 3 math little books as well as some activities. So what I'm going to do tonight, I'm going to walk you through what a math little book looks like within Mathology.ca, and we'll focus on grade 3. I'm going to walk you through an activity, again, for grade 3. And then right at the very end, we're going to take a look at something that's brand new from us, which are readiness tasks for grades 4, 5, and 6. So I'm going to go into one of our math little books. This one's called The Money Jar. Each lesson for the math little books has 3 sections across the top. We have an about, we have a lesson, and we have differentiated support. So I'm going to walk you through each section so you can see what's available. About the lesson will give you some great background about what this lesson is about, of course. We have reading level, and this is Fountas and Pinnell reading level. We have the math focus. So this math little book is looking at adding and subtracting to 100, as well as composing and decomposing based on units of 10. So it's a very rich math little book. Your curriculum is right there. And I talked to you earlier about our Pearson Canada learning progression. This is our K-3 learning progression. And this really helps you see where this math little book sits along that continuum. And it will highlight in blue exactly where you're on that continuum. So you can see that this one's unpacking 2 really big ideas. So it's a very rich math little book. So let's take a look at it. I'll go into lesson. So with each lesson, you'll see the cover of the book, which is quite helpful. When you have 72 math little books, covers are important. On the right-hand side, you'll get a little bit of information around as you share the story, some things to encourage your students with. When I scroll down to the bottom, you'll get a section called Introducing the Book. So your first read, some really great ideas here that will help support you as you introduce this math little book. And then typically most teachers will go right into the little book itself. So right underneath the cover, you'll see a link right here, and I'm going to click on that. So each math little book, all 72 of them are inside Mathology.ca, and the version that you have is a read and listen as well as an activity. So these have been really popular for both synchronous and asynchronous learning, and especially last spring when parents were supporting their own children. Because it's a read and listen, and you have an URL at the top that you can put into your Google Classroom and share with home. This is kind of like your take-home math little book in a really engaging way. So we're going to go into the read and listen here. So each math little book is a read aloud version. So I'm going to play. You can see there's an audio button right at the bottom. So I'm going to play, and we'll play through maybe half of this page.
The students in Mr. Tresnack's class are curious about the new chart in their classroom. They have lots of questions. Why is a soccer ball on a list of animals? Why are there prices on it? Are we getting these for our class? How many soccer balls can we buy?
Okay, so now I'm really curious about the soccer ball myself. I have to read this book again at another time. So you can see that the read aloud version is quite helpful. And again, at the very top, if I click on the URL, you can copy and paste that. You can share this URL with anyone who has a license, so a license in your school, or if you have a district license, a school within that district, and you can post it on a password protected site. So your Google Classroom, for instance, would be a place where you could go, or Brightspace. So that's a great way of sharing these math little books with your students for at-home use and with their parents. So I'm going to go back. The other piece that's attached to this math little book is an activity. So I'm going to click on this activity. So each math little book comes with a really great interactive activity that can be read aloud. So there's an audio portion beside each read aloud piece. And you'll see that it's almost like a interactive whiteboard. You can start moving things like this. So it's great, again, for synchronous and asynchronous. And why I say that is, again, at the top, you'll have a code here that allows you to share this activity. You're probably wondering, well, what do I do with this activity? Top right-hand corner, we have teacher/parent notes. So if you click on that, you get a nice short summary on what this activity is about and some things to ask your children or your students as you're doing this activity. So that is a quick walkthrough of what the math little book looks like. I'm going to go back to our main screen. I told you about introducing the book in the first read. You do have a few more things that support you with this math little book. So I'm going to go into differentiated support. And so after you've read, you have access to 10 to 12, sometimes 15 line masters that supports and extends your use of this math little book. All of these line masters are in PDF and Word. So the PDF version you can download and save and share in that password protected place that you have. Also in Word, so you may want to go in and modify these in some way. And so we have an assessment master, for instance, for this book, Connecting Home and School. It's a letter, and so you can actually go in and you have a start of a letter for home saying what this book is about, and you can change that based on who you want to send that to. Some extra board games are in here, number lines, 10 frames. So you have a really rich resource around our math little books. So that is, again, you have access to 72 of them in Mathology.ca. I'm going to scroll down and we're going to take a look at an activity as well. So this is a financial literacy activity, purchasing and making change. This is from the new curriculum and we're at grade 3. And so for our activities, you'll see that the lesson looks quite similar to the math little book. We have one extra section here that I'll walk you through. So we have an about, a lesson, assessment, as well as differentiated support. So we'll take a look at each one of these. So about the lesson, this will tell you what the lesson is about, group size, pairs. Sometimes these are also really great for independent learning, so that's there. Content background. We know that a lot of early math teachers, math may not have been your first teachable from Teachers College, and so providing extra math content background is really helpful. The focus, so this is the focus for the lesson, the curriculum, as well as the learning progression. So again, the idea of that where this lesson is along that mathematical continuum. And you can see here that this lesson is also quite rich because it unpacks two big ideas from the curriculum. When we get into the lesson, you will see that in the top left-hand corner, you'll have the strand, the materials that you'll use for this activity, and any of the materials that you need, again, they're linked right on this activity, PDF or Word, so you can go in and either download it or change it if you want to. And this is a three-part lesson where you have your instructions, you're working on it, as well as differentiated support and consolidation. We also have in grade 3 exit tickets if you'd like to use those, and some extra practice. So let's go into the extra practice here. So again, these are something that you'll see, I'm on a Mac, that you can download this and upload it to your learning management system and share it that way. So those are extra practice that you have with each lesson. As I scroll down, you'll also see we've provided some really great probing questions. So as your students are doing this activity, and this is true whether you're in class and watching your students do this activity, or you might be part of a virtual school, hybrid learning, blended learning, where sometimes it's really hard to know and understand what your students are thinking as they're doing that activity. These probing questions are super helpful. And they can be hard to come up with on your own. So we've provided those probing questions here for you to use as well. I'm going to scroll up, and you'll see that we've also provided images. These images come from a variety of places. So the images that we have here, we have a physical activity kit at grade 1, at grade 2, and at grade 3 with activity cards within them. These are those same activity cards that you can now, in this setting, project, which is really helpful. So this is that activity. This is the student card for the activity. I'm going to click forward and back. And so each one of these activities at the very bottom, you can also print if you want to. And again, that's something that you can download and share on your learning management system if it's password protected. And you can project them, which is helpful at this time as well. I talked to you earlier about math mats, and they are included within Mathology.ca. So those are the images and a few ideas of how to use this in a variety of settings. The other piece that teachers have loved about Mathology.ca, at the bottom of every lesson, you'll see something called interactives. We have 20 interactive tools that work as almost like a whiteboard, great for projecting in front of class, working synchronously with your students and asynchronously. So I'll show you what that looks like. And this one is the Pearson Canada Money Tool. Sounds like something that I actually need. So here is an interactive, and again, you can move these pieces any way you like. This is that there's one for a money tool. We have 10 frames, we have connectors. There's 20 of them, and they're all really helpful. The other piece that's helpful is, again, at the top, you'll see there's a URL that you can click on. And again, this is something that you can share within your license on a password protected site. So that license that you get, and we'll talk about licenses at the end, really gives you access to a lot of math tools. So that was a quick walkthrough of a lesson. We're going to go into assessment next. So you've done this lesson, and the next thing you want to be able to do is get a sense of where your students are with this activity. So I'm going to scroll down slowly for a minute, and you'll see that we have some boxes here with things that student behavior that you might witness as the students are doing these activities. So for instance, in this first box, compares money amounts using part-part-whole relationship. Uses part-part-whole relationship to find a missing part. So these are standard things that you will likely witness as students are doing this activity, and you will likely want to group your students and help them with this concept. So that's easy to do. You have the ability in Mathology.ca to put your own class in with their names here. Once you have done that and you're observing your students, you'll see that you can either drag and drop or click them and put them right inside that box. I'm going to go back up. Maybe you've witnessed 4 students here, or it could be Leanne is here. So as you're doing this activity, it's a great way of to observe your students. But the most powerful part here, once your students are here, how do I help them progress with this concept if they're struggling with it? The next steps are really, really important. At the bottom of each one of these boxes, that's where you're going to find your next steps. So I'm going to click on the next steps. You have a student here, compares money amounts using part-whole relationship. How can I help Khadija? If I click on next steps, you'll see that there's some in the moment suggestions for you to help that student. Oftentimes though, we've also included an additional next step. And so this is an in-depth intervention. And you can see here that there's a link. So I'm going to take you directly to that mini lesson, which is an intervention to support the student in this idea, this concept. And you know what? That link didn't work tonight. Okay, so typically it will take you to a mini lesson, which I will show you in a moment. I'm gonna put one more student in here and just show next steps. And so again, the idea that you have those in the moment next steps. So as you've done this activity, you're getting into October, you've maybe done 5 or 6 activities that from Mathology.ca. It could be it's getting close to report card time, or maybe to parent-teacher night. And so you might want to have a dashboard of all these activities that you've done and understand where your students are. And so what I'm going to do from this assessment, I'm going to take us up to the top, and you'll see something that's called analytics. When I click on that, you have classroom analytics and student. So I'm going to go to classroom. Get into create 3. And this is where you will see a dashboard of all those activities that you did with your students. So here's the activities here. You can see the card that we worked with. In the middle, you'll have the date of that assessment, so you can keep track of the date. Status. The status is a simple orange, red, or green light. Orange means you're in progress. Red means that you need attention. And green means you're on track, you're great. And so when you move over, you can see that those boxes that you were supporting your students in, they are identified here. And you can see that you're in progress. Any place that says you need attention, if you hit view, it will take you back to that exactly where you were, and you can work on your next steps with that lesson. So back to class. So that was classroom view. What if it's parent-teacher night and it's likely going to be virtual this year? Select a student. So let's go with Quentin. You can see that here are the 2 lessons that you've taught Quentin, and that 2 of them are in progress. Let's see if we have, let's see where Patrick is. It doesn't look like we have a lesson for Patrick. Fabio, here we go. So you have Fabio here is on track with addition and subtraction, but you're in progress with 1 lesson, and there's a spot where he's in that first box, and you're going to want to do a little bit of an intervention there to support him on next steps. And this is a great way of either sharing with your principal or with your parents, even with the student, where they are and identifying where you're going to go next, what your next teacher move is. So that's analytics and assessment. So I'm going to take us back to the last piece of this lesson, differentiated support. So in differentiated support, you're going to get mini lessons, so on grade intervention, as well as extension lessons. So let's get into that intervention lesson that didn't show up. This is what they look like. They're really short. You have your materials here, PDF and Word if you need them, a short how-to. And again, these are printable, which is really important. You're able to print those. So those are your mini lessons that help with differentiation. Oftentimes you'll find that there are misconceptions. And so this one, student doesn't think spending money is related to subtraction. So if you click on that, here's your what to do. So there's always a next move, a next step to support your students. And what made this possible, again, was that Pearson Canada Learning Progression as the foundation for Mathology.ca. As we scroll down, you have some next steps in class, printable. Also important now, next steps at home. So here's some ideas about what might be done to help support parents or caregivers or guardians as, as you're extending this activity. Printable as well. Here's a word wall and related lessons. And these related lessons are on grade, below grade, or above grade, or intervention. So you can move along that continuum as well. So that was a quick walkthrough of the Math Little Book, an activity. The piece that most teachers appreciate about Mathology, to be honest, right now, when we have no time to plan, is this is a really simple, rich, easy to use planning tool. And I'll show you what that looks like. So up the very top, you'll see something that says plan. And go into all plans. And what Mathology.ca allows you to do two things. Create a new plan. It's for all those who are, they know Mathology.ca really well, or you have some really great ideas. Creating a new plan is a fun way to start, but to be honest, we're all quite new at this. We're new to Mathology.ca, have very little time. And so what we've done to support you is created some really great plans to get you started. So I'm going to go into Mathology grade 3, because that's what we were in. And so when you go in, we have plans set out for grades 1, 2, and we'll have a complete grade 3 one. This is a sample of the grade 3 that really gets you started. So down the left-hand side, you can see we have the units here. And as I click on each one, you'll see different Math Little Books and different activities come up. This really is a great scope and sequence for you to start teaching, but you might think, you know what, I do not start with counting. Maybe I want to start with something else. How do I make this plan my own? So at the top right-hand corner, you can say, use sample plan. Save it. You can call it anything you like. And what this does is it opens up the ability to go in and start modifying this plan based on how you want to teach. So you may, well, you probably won't start with fractions. Let's not go there. But you might want to start with place value first, for instance. You can see when I'm here, there's a little hand now. That hand allows you to drag and drop and reverse the order of your scope and sequence right off the bat. So you can move these up and down depending upon the year that you're in and the part of the year that you're in. And you'll see as you do that, again, you have the Math Little Books already chosen for you. So that work has been done. Inside each one of these, you can now write yourself a note. So you might say, I would start my you can write anything that you want in there, and that will that's kind of like your lesson plan. One other thing that teachers say that they really appreciate is the ability to, if you have a license, or if your school has a license, or your district has a license, the ability to share this plan. I'm team teaching. I've done a lot of work in creating this really great plan, and I want to share this with my partner who's also teaching this. You can share if they have a license. So top right-hand corner, you'll see 3 dots here. Under those 3 dots, you have 4 things you can do. We will create a lesson or a lesson plan already for you that has 100% curriculum match. As you're creating your own, you might want to go back in and make sure that as you're creating yours, you haven't missed anything. So that really identifies what gaps you might have so that you can complete your plan properly. The material list, I showed you the activities and the fact that there are materials on each individual lesson, and they're in PDF and Word. This gathers that all in one place for you, so that's really helpful. I talked about sharing. This allows you to share this plan with someone else who has this license, so great for team teaching. And of course, you can export this as well. So that was a really quick walkthrough of grade 3 math little book, as well as a lesson. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the alignment charts, but I do know I have someone on here for grades 4 to 6, and I promised that I would talk a little bit about the beginning of our Mathology grades 4, 5, and 6. So I'm going to go there right now. I am going to go into all lessons. I'm going to go into grade. Let's go to grade 4. So Mathology in general, we have K to 3 that we've worked on for the past three years. We're now building out grades 4, 5, and 6. And that will take us probably about a year and a half to build out Mathology lessons like you just saw. In the meantime, we know that grade 4, 5, and 6 teachers, like everyone else, are really wanting to know where their students are at the beginning of each unit. And it's hard to do after 6 months and with a variety of students in front of you. So how do I really quickly understand the readiness of my students when I start a brand new unit? We created Readiness Tasks for grades 4, 5, and 6. And I'm gonna walk you through what a Readiness Task looks like. So right here, we have grade 4 number. We're looking at number relationships and place values. So you're at the beginning of that unit, and you click on it. This will look right off the bat quite familiar to you. So you'll have an about this lesson and what the readiness task is. So about this task, it will tell you what this task is going to do, how it's going to support you. So this the readiness tasks are built using real life context to help you activate prior knowledge and determine students' readiness for the upcoming lesson, prepare students for new learning, and also provide that snapshot of where each student is at. So the first thing that it's going to do, we're in grade 4, it will give you what came before this. So think in your mind that learning progression really does help us understand where these students are coming from and where they need to go next. And so you're going to get the background from grade 3, where those students were in grade 3 as they're coming into grade 4 and about to tackle this new unit. Here's the focus for this task, the curriculum, and again, that learning progression is really important. The learning progression that is in this section is our brand new grades 4 through 9. So that's in here as well. So I'm going to take us to the task. So I mentioned earlier that we are just building our lessons for grades 4, 5, and 6. You will want to use these readiness tasks, and you probably want to do some immediate next steps. So I'm going to walk you through what this looks like this fall inside Mathology.ca just to get you started. Across the top, the lesson looks similar. Number, so left-hand side is the strand, materials that you need. So in this case, our materials will be a readiness task and the teacher version, which has answers, an answer key for you. So let's take a look at what a readiness task is. It's right here on the side, but the one that you're going to share with the student, PDF and Word, so you can download it and share it with them. Here is the readiness task for number relationships. So you'll see that there are 4 different questions that really help you understand where the student is coming into this brand new concept at grade 4. So you will do this readiness task with your students and go back. So you know what to look for, because we know, again, math might not be your first teachable. Having a sense of what this task is going to be about and possible answers, also important. So you know where your students are. You might have 4 students, for instance, that did really well with these, and you think, oh, I'm great. I'm ready to teach this unit on number sense. So where do I go when I'm ready to teach this? Everyone's good to go. On this right-hand side, you'll see a panel where we have grade 4 teacher guide and grade 4 student book. So while we're creating our Mathology lessons, we also are the publisher of Math Makes Sense. And we wanted to provide you with a starting point to help your students as we're building out Mathology. So this links right to the exact spot in the teacher's guide that supports teachers. So that's your lesson right here, exactly where you need it to be. And student books, so that this is the next step, your next step lesson is a direct link to where the student should be for that as well. And you'll see at the top, if I click on that, that link again can be shared within a password protected site, so your Google Classroom or Brightspace. So that's if people are on grade and they're great, they're good to go. But as you're going through each one of these questions, if you're having students that are struggling with any one of these concepts on the left-hand side, as I scroll down, you'll see that each question has the next step for you if that student is struggling. So again, the concept of identifying where your students are and then going to the next step. And those next steps might be here, for instance, is Math Makes Sense, and you're going to go back and do a mini lesson around comparing and ordering numbers, because that's where those students might be. And again, you have a link directly to the spot in that student book where you need that, where that support is given. And every question is like that. So you're able to identify where your students are, and you have a great next step for you. Just know that as we're developing our grades 4, 5, and 6 for Mathology, at some point, and I know it's going to be winter-ish, where we'll be adding in Mathology lessons that look just like the ones I showed you for grade 3. The Math Makes Sense lessons won't disappear. They'll still be there too if you still want access to them, but we will add in Mathology lessons as well. So that is a really quick run through of Mathology.ca, K-3, as well as 4 to 6. The last piece of the puzzle here before we reach our end, teachers want to know what support, what evidence do you have that Mathology.ca aligns with the new curriculum. So top left-hand corner, you'll see a link. I'm going to click on that. So what we've done to support you is provide what we call our curriculum alignment charts. And these, I think most people know curriculum correlation charts, alignment charts. These are ways to know very quickly where that alignment is. So for instance, we were in grade 3 today, so let's do grade 3. You'll see at the top 32 pages, so you may not want to print this off. This is something that you might just want to view for your own edification. So as I scroll down, you'll see curriculum expectations, left-hand side, Mathology.ca here, as well as the Math Little Books and that learning progression. And as you scroll down, you'll see your curriculum on the left and where Mathology supports that new curriculum. So that is the first way that you can see that alignment. I mentioned before that we got this new curriculum pretty much the same time as you, and so there are some gaps that we identified, and it's good to know where those might be as you're doing your lessons. So what we have here is a planning tool. So this planning tool helps you identify all the lessons that match the new curriculum right now that you can do while we are spending this fall creating brand new ones. There's not many gaps, I have to tell you. There's a few. So let's take a look at a planning tool for grade 3. Looks a lot like the last one we just showed you, but the buckets at the top are arranged differently. So we have the Mathology activity, left-hand side. We have the expectations from your curriculum in the middle. And here's a section that's called Match to Ontario Curriculum. So what you're going to be looking for here, these are the different lessons that are in Mathology.ca that you just saw. On the right-hand side, if there's a check mark, you're good to go. So these are the lessons that you can start with all fall and use just as they are, which is important. There are a few lessons in here where you're going to see something in this box, and these are short tips that will say you might include counting 50 by 50s and 200s because that is what this new expectation is asking for. Know that change, that modification will happen this year, but we've given you some tips on how to use that lesson anyways as it is. And you'll go down, you'll see some more check marks. So there's quite a few here. I'm trying to find, there's a couple spots. Here we go. Here's a spot. So you'll see new lesson, partitioning sets with leftovers. So we currently don't have a little book or an activity card made for that. We're making them right now. There's someone, as we speak making this lesson, while they're making this lesson, we have a spot here saying currently in development. So what I would recommend is go with the lessons that have the check mark first. That's probably your best bet. And pretty soon, inside Mathology.ca, we're going to have a plan. So I talked to you about what a plan looks like. We will have that plan already made for you, so you don't have to refer to this guide anymore. I think that will be quite helpful. So I am going to take us out of this because we are right at our end time. So Haley, as I am pulling up the end of our presentation, can you come off mute and talk to us about whether there were any questions?
Hi, Patty. You did such a fantastic job that we didn't have anyone asking questions during your presentation. I think you've answered quite a few.
Oh, Haley, well, thank you. That's good news. That's great. So I will breeze through our last few slides, and then we can open up, take everyone off mute. If there's any further questions at the end, that will be the time to do it. So we're at the point where most people say, what's inside Mathology.ca and how much is this going to cost me? I mentioned a number of times that there's lots of great things that you can do to share synchronously, asynchronously if you have a license. So we'll talk about licenses right now. Inside Mathology.ca, we currently have grades K to 6. So K to 3, math little books, activity cards. At 4, 5, and 6, we have those readiness tasks that link to Math Makes Sense. Lots inside Mathology.ca for 2 different prices. So an individual teacher license is $140. So I'm just gonna say that one more time, $140 for a 1-year license. And that gives you access to all of those lessons, all of those interactive tools, the readiness tasks, all of that's inside. If you would like to invest in a 5-year license, it's a little bit better deal. It's roughly 5% discount there. They're available for $665. So there's a lot on offer there for your license. We have some great offers on right now as well. I should have changed this. We know that school started a bit late this year. We have a great buy now and save until December 18th, where the purchase of a 1-year license will get you 15% off any of our print components, whether it's the activity kits, the math little books, those math mats I told you about. So that is a great offer. And if you invest in the 5 years, that opens up 25% there as well. So for those of you that have hybrid learning where you're in class and have students at home, this is a great option because you have students accessing the same resources at the same time, just in different formats based on how you're teaching them. So that's our buy now and save. We have some offers as well on Math Makes Sense. So